Hello everybody and welcome. Today's January 23rd, 2021. We got another great show ahead of you today. Vicarious Visions is acquired by a big gaming company. Resident Evil drops an exclusive demo for PS5. And Xbox makes a bit of a blunder. I'm one of your hosts, Garrett.
I'm Ben.
And you're listening to
Out of Mana.
Man, still can't believe we have a theme song.
It's hard to believe, like hearing it just, I love it. I love it so much.
Well, we are very lucky that Demodron made that for us. I made a mistake last week, actually. I think I call it Skywalking. The actual title's, what was it?
It's Sky Surfing.
Sky Surfing.
Did I say ing?
Sky
It's
Surfer.
Sky Surfer.
Sky Surfer.
Ruh-roh.
Sky Surfer, yes.
The main issue was we were talking about the new Star Wars acquisition and losing of, basically EA losing Star Wars and Skywalker, Jedi and all that. It changed the name. So it's Sky Surfer.
We literally had, Star Wars on our mind, so... Anyways, thank you again, Demodron, for doing this for us. Super thankful for that. Go check them out on SoundCloud.
I mean, honestly, if you enjoy that song at all, I'll reiterate what I said last time. You will enjoy the rest of his stuff. It's very, very good.
So we got some interesting news this week, Ben. I'm very happy because the past couple of weeks we've actually had a lot of interesting stuff to talk about.
It's been a pretty spicy few weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they keep throwing out the little bits and pieces here, and they're all very good.
Yeah, 2021 was a little slow to begin with, but it is picking up. Man, I kind of just want to hop right into it. Let's get it started. So
I mean, I'm gonna take the reign and just say the showcase demo, the Resident Evil Village showcase demo. That was a bit. So I was at work. And I was completely unaware of this happening. And then I just popped onto Twitter after work, and I see this post that says "Step on me," and it shows like a picture of the tall vampire lady. Her name is Madam. God only knows how to pronounce that name. And I was like, what the hell is that? It looks like Mae West in a zombie suit. And sure enough, Resident Evil had released its demo, Maiden.
Yeah, so Resident Evil 8, so Resident Evil Village, that they did like the whole Roman numeral thing.
Yeah, very cleverly.
They released an exclusive demo for PS5, which is to serve as a visual showcase. And I have a PS5, so guess who got to play it?
Yep, Garrett moseyed on over on Friday night, and we gave that a great go, and boy, was it cool.
It was very cool. It was short.
It was pretty damn short. The only reason it wasn't short was because we were wandering around, like, bumping our heads against the wall, unable to find the wine glass with the eye in it.
Yeah, so if you know anything about Resident Evil games, they love their weird puzzles that make absolutely no sense.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And mostly me, could not find the frickin' piece to the puzzle, and it was right in front of my face. I knew it had to be in that room, but I went around that room 50 times looking for something.
If the chalice had been a snake, he would have been dead many times over.
Seriously.
But it was very cool. So it's like we said, it's a visual demo, but it's also kind of a look at the game showcase. And it's cool. It's very cool. You start off in the dungeon, and it's dark. It's full of maggots and feces and blood and just horror, and it's scary. It's got the good old Resident Evil atmosphere to it.
I'm not one who dives deep into scary games, horror games. I appreciate them a lot, and I give some of them a go. I was gonna say Dead Space is, I think I mentioned on the last episode, Dead Space was like the only one apart from Resident Evil 2 remake that we played together.
Yeah.
If it was just me, I wouldn't have done that by myself.
I love Resident Evil 2. Ooh.
And I appreciate them because they're always very atmospheric, very scary. But I just like, if the game has to make me pause because I'm too nervous about what's about to happen. Mainly, I just hate dying in games because it means I have to start over. And in Resident Evil games, depending on which one you're playing, that can mean a long way back.
That could be quite a few rooms back in a typewriter somewhere else, yeah.
Yeah, depending on...
Maybe you ran out of ink ribbons and you weren't able to even save it all.
Exactly, depending on which game it is.
Yeah.
Did they change that in the newer games? Did they make it easier to save?
I think after Resident Evil 4, they had kind of done away with the ink ribbons and all that jazz.
Okay, and if it was probably just what do you call it? Like a
I would say, if anything, it was just a homage if they were going
exactly
back to that, like,
yeah.
at best.
It wasn't to the point where you find maybe like 5 of them throughout the entire game, and you have to choose wisely of when to frickin' use them.
In the original games, how many ink ribbons you used would cause your final score to change too.
Oh yeah, I remember
you
that.
You wouldn't get a big, thick, juicy S if you used too many ink ribbons.
We finished, so we played the Resident Evil 2 remake on the hardest difficulty, or at least the hardest one before you beat it. And then I think you can play it on an even harder one. Yeah, very limited ammo, very limited saving, and I thought we did pretty good about saving.
We were doing pretty good up until the Mr. X surprise, because I had Resident Evil 2 for the N64. I played it a lot of times. I was not expecting that.
Yeah,
that was a change to the game, and I remember Garrett was the one playing, I think, and I was sitting next to him. I was like, okay, he's like, oh, you're just gonna go through here, go to the end of the hallway, the wall, and then suddenly Mr. X. I'm like, what? And we were both floored. That was. Yeah, and that changed the state of our saving, because we suddenly were saving a lot more often.
Yeah, because he would just wander. What kind of spoilers, I guess, but he was so memed that it's almost hard to know he's not in the game.
It's almost hard to know. I mean, at this point, and yeah, he would basically patrol the hallways, more or less in pursuit of you. But if you lost sight of you, he would kind of patrol away from you. But there was no way to hide from him most of the time. He would find you and kill you horribly.
And you would hear him stomping and like finding his way to you.
Oh my god.
Just that constant stress of knowing he could just show up in any room. It was like always the worst time too.
And so, speaking of Mr. X, though, in this new showcase demo, the madam, the vampire, the tall vampire lady, is basically kind of a Mr. X, I think. I think what she is going to be in the game, this is just my postulation on it, is she's going to be a Mr. X type character, where she's really big, she has to crouch down to fit through doorways, which Mr. X did too. And I think she's going to kind of pursue you throughout the house, going, I see you, and then grab you, and, you've got the look, and then stab you with her fingers.
So, okay, yeah, so back to the beginning, just to give you a little bit of setting.
Dungeon.
Yeah, so the demo is called Maiden, because I believe you are playing as a maiden who is locked.
That's a good point. Yes, you are playing as a young girl who is one of the victims, yeah. Yeah,
and you're in this big castle in the dungeon, and apparently the owners of the castle are vampires.
So you kind of get that. It's never explicitly stated. You get that implication for many reasons. So if you want to play the demo, you plan to play the demo, you haven't looked up any spoilers, you're probably going to hear some. So FYI, spoilers are ahead. If you haven't played it and you care, go play it. If you don't care, keep listening.
Yeah, they haven't made it much of a secret online.
It's not too. This is super spoiler heavy, but like it's gonna ruin the experience if you really want to play it yourself.
And to be honest, none of this may even be in the actual game.
Yeah,
because this was made as a visual.
And you're playing
demo.
as a character who is not the main character in the Resident Evil Village game.
Oh, that's very true.
Who I believe is Ethan, and in this character,
Chris.
Chris is not.
No.
Chris is a mystery bad guy now. We don't know for sure.
Oh, my bad.
Yes. So anyway, So you start the game off, you're in a dungeon, like a prison cell, like think, medieval prison, rounded, arched, gated doors, all that stuff. It's just short of being an oubliette with David Bowie outside. And you basically have to kind of look around, you find a note that says, oh wow, I got out, hopefully you can too, well, just crawl around, you'll find your way. And sure enough, as soon as you crawl around, you find your way.
It was like a detailed note of like, I'm planning to escape tonight, and here's exactly what I'm going to do.
And he basically lists from the beginning where you're at, because Quinky Dink, he happens to know you're there, and 2, then up until you get to the castle proper. So it's like this guy escaped, then wrote the note, then ran back, dropped the note off, and then re-escaped again.
That's what we're assuming happened.
So anyway, You do a crawl thing. You get out of your cell basically, and one of the hints as to these ladies being vampires is you find a note that says, "Care for livestock."
Mm-hmm.
And livestock, if you played Oblivion, if you played basically any game that has vampires in any way, usually the vampires refer to humans as livestock, as their stock. So that's presumably what you are. And not to mention all the blood. You find lots and lots of containers full of blood.
Yeah, there's like all these torture devices that you can find. There's all these cells. You're finding like hanging bodies, half torn up.
You're finding a lot of bundled bodies and hanging bodies, and yeah, it sets the atmosphere. I mean, really, this is the only part of the demo that has this atmosphere.
True.
Because there's a lot of bodies, like Garrett just said. They're hanging, they're splayed on the floor, they're ripped apart artistically and placed in different ways everywhere. I mean, it's basically Picasso's nightmare. And there's not really much of it after that. So this dungeon part is really where the atmosphere, the scariness, the creepiness, the horror is set. And it sets it very well. It's very scary. You feel like, oh my god, something's going to get me. I'm going to turn around and there's going to be a 10-foot tall vampire lady. She's going to step on me. And, smother me with her milk jugs. I don't know, whatever she does. And no, but you feel like that. You feel like it's going to happen every time. You feel, I picked up a key. I'm going to turn around. Something's going to be there suddenly.
Yeah, they were building up the suspense a lot. And very dark dungeon, depending on how you adjust your brightness settings on your...
Yeah, we had a little bit of a debate on that, yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty damn dark. Yeah. You have a little flashlight. And I'm just like, every single time I look in one of these corridors, like, I'm going to turn around and something's going to be standing there, like, upset that I escaped my cage.
Upset that it's insulted that you escaped the cage with a gaping hole in the wall.
They should have.
Visually, it looks really good. It's very dark. The light looks really good. Everything looks really good. It's creepy. And just before you leave this dark area, there's like a thing that starts rattling at one of the boarded up walls.
Mm-hmm.
And if you watch some of the gameplay showcase that was shown from the Village game itself, that was not included in the demo, you'll see what the monster could have been. There is a scene in basically the exact same dungeon you're in now with some other creatures, and that's probably what was scraping at the door. They're basically wretches, like they're like wretches with like cloaks on, and I think they're basically going to be the fodder enemy in the game.
I was gonna say that depending on what kind of vampire like lore a game or a movie is following, like sometimes the humans turn into vampires themselves. Yep. Sometimes they become some other creature after they've been infected. I feel like I'm thinking of some book or something I read where like if they didn't take the vampire blood or something like that, they didn't become a true vampire and they became some kind of wretch instead. So
I don't know. I mean, there's always a different take on it. Like exactly. If we're gonna jump back to Oblivion or the Elder Scrolls, if you get the disease by being scraped by a vampire, then you become a vampire in like 7 days if you don't take like the mushroom or whatever. I forget what it was. And if it's Buffy, then you either die or you become a vampire. Because the vampire has to suck your blood until your heartbeat slows down just enough, and then you become a vampire because it's magic.
Dun, dun.
I'm oversimplifying the Buffy thing. Don't get mad at me, fans. I love the show too. But in this game, it looks like the cannon fodder kind of enemies, the fodder enemies, are going to probably be some kind of wretch. Again, this is just judging off the video, and there was like 10 of them in that scene. And they were in a dungeon that was very similar to the setting, and so when you heard the scraping on the wall as you were leaving, that's probably one of them.
I'm scared already.
Yeah, and as we were playing, that was scary because it's like, oh god. And I was telling Garrett as he was playing, because I was sitting next to him, basically being like the backseat driver, and I was saying, you're gonna hear a bang, you're gonna hear a crashing bang as the thing gets out, and it starts pursuing you.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. I'm like, as soon as I walk into this room, I'm gonna hear a bang, and I'm gonna turn around, and it's gonna be chasing after me. So.
And so it didn't. That did not happen, but it was scary. So the next room you enter in is a circular room that's very Resident Evil. If you played the first Resident Evil game, especially the remake of it, this type of room is kind of almost normal in the sense where you walk into this neoclassical style room with embossed carvings on the walls, a la like a Roman ruin. And it's very nonsensical. I'm sure there's some meaning to the lore in the game, but to the player at this point in our knowledge of the game, it's like, why the hell is this room here?
Yeah, there's like a big torch in the middle of it or something.
There's a huge hanging brazier in the middle that lights everything up with the epitome of mood, as all of the the embossed carvings are lit beautifully, and it's a war scene. It's very dramatic. You almost expect to be hearing like something behind a door rattling its chains and moaning. Very Resident Evil, basically. So, moving on past that, you enter some other rooms. One including like that might be a butler's quarters. I think there's a Victrola, a phonograph inside. There's a table set with blood covering it that your character comments saying, "This stinks so bad."
And I was disappointed. We didn't mention that when we were playing that. Yeah, there was some kind of like cup or plate with like blood stuff in
Yeah.
it. It's like, it stinks so bad.
It,
I was
that's a verbatim
unimpressed by
quote. I think it was, "This stinks so bad," and it's like, that's your okay.
I'm like, really? I'm a little unimpressed by that, but
So that's kind of the extent of that room. You move around a little more. There's just a bunch of other crap in there. When you examine the phonograph, it says "Dance Macabre," because I guess that's the record that's on. Because the record has to apply to the scene beautifully, right? I mean, they're not gonna listen to "Waltz of the Flowers" in there. They're gonna listen to "Dance Macabre."
I wish we could have played it. I'm surprised that they didn't let you just start the record.
I wish we could have played it, honestly. It was a very accurately designed phonograph, too, I will say, as a complete and utter snipe for this kind of stuff.
Didn't you, like, repair one of those when you were younger?
When I was at the end of high school when I was 18, or before I turned 18, I basically worked with a guy who repaired old Victrolas professionally. Mm-hmm. He had a business doing that, and so he trained me how to do it, and I did my senior project on the history of recorded music. I did air quotes with that. And yeah, and in part of the project involved me getting a wind-up phonograph and repairing it, and then using it in my presentation in skit class.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great gimmick, and it worked really well. The teacher loved it.
I was gonna say, if that would have been me in that class and I had to do something like that, it would have been very basic and stupid, and yours would have been the one where I'm like, of course this guy did. Like this like stupid. I would have been what's the word for the hipster? Like this hipster. Like
it worked very well because I used a record from each time period in my presentation. Basically,
of course you did.
Well, because I gave examples. Like it worked very well, and then I had my project that I repaired myself. I fulfilled the quality. It was a great project.
That is a very good.
The teacher loved it.
Yeah.
But on that note, yes, I'm a little bit of a nerd for these things, and the one they used in the game was a very accurately designed one. The modeler did a great job. For once, it didn't look like a complete piece of crap. Like cough, Bioshocks, cough, cough.
I was just about to mention, Ben, anytime there's a period game, Ben just like, he knows the architecture, the furniture, everything about it. And there's rarely a game where he's like, wow, they really did this well. So I was very surprised when he commented on that.
Yeah, I was very pleased with that. I was a little bummed we couldn't play it. I wanted to hear the Dance Macabre, but whatever. Moving on past that room, you go through some other thing. You crawl through a cabinet. You go into a little passageway that then has a Indiana Jones style brick press, and then the wall slides open abruptly. Like this is not a slow wall. Whoever designed the secret wall was like, we're gonna put in quick action here.
You didn't even have time to look over to see it go up.
No, it rips up the ground. Like so. Great design right there. I mean, that's not an insult. That's just like whoever built that did a great job lubricating those gears over the centuries. So you go up the stairs, you end up in another room. More blood. I think this is the room you find the note in. This is the room that has the 1950s note.
I think so.
Yeah, and
with a ladder going.
Yeah, and it's the guy who basically says, "Oh, I joined this family, and they're all women, and this is weird." And something, and then after like 2 or 3 pages, he's like, I think they're vampires.
Yeah.
And so then you climb the ladder, which is dripping blood, kind of inexplicably, and we didn't notice that at first, but then we noticed it afterwards.
Yeah, when we were looking around for the item for an hour, we went all the way back into the frickin' dungeon. We're like, where's this blood dripping from? We look up and there's no blood dripping, but it's like on the floor, heavily dripping.
Yeah, and so you get to I think there's something up there that...
There was like a crate that had some body parts in it.
It looked like a cat. I don't know what it was,
but... Whiskers.
Whiskers, no. Oliver and company. So you climb up the ladder, and then you're in the castle. This is the castle proper. You basically are dropped into a heavily ornate room. Like this is like Rococo style room where, white paneled walls with gilt all over them. I don't mean the Catholic gilt, I mean the gold gilt. And it's very spectacular, basically. I mean, it's a small room, but it's visually spectacular when you go from the drab darkness of the dungeon to the extreme lavishness of the castle above.
Honestly, when we were playing, I wasn't even thinking about that, but that is exactly what they were going for. They're like, hey, check it out. Yeah. Check out our super dark, creepy dungeon, and now we're going to show off our ray tracing. We're going to show off all of our lighting effects. look how beautiful and shiny.
I mean,
ornate this room
the
is."
only thing they could have changed is to add some like Vivaldi playing, you know, like a string quartet in the background as you hear wine glasses clinking and laughing. I mean, honestly,
Well, there was laughing.
there was laughing, but it was not the wine glass clinking kind of laughing. It was more like the chalice blood glass clinking, laughing and cackling and
Cackling is a better word.
So you're in the castle proper now. It's very ornate. Everything is white and gold and just parquet flooring. Everything is very nice, but there's no one there. It's very creepy. It's very mysterious. It's very lonely. Mm-hmm. And so you wander in there for a bit, and then you're kind of spit out again into another section of the castle, and this is the foyer. And it's a very grand foyer, but the style abruptly changes too. You go from the Louis XVI Rococo style to kind of more of a classic Resident Evil style, more Resident Evil 1 Victorian mansion, like Edwardian style with, you know, stone walls and paneled ceilings and just kind of dim dark.
Giant chandelier, though.
Giant chandelier. You look off a balcony and you can see like the grand staircase that curls around down there, and it's very striking and it's very reminiscent of Resident Evil 1.
Yeah, so you basically go, you come out up on the second floor. So
Yes.
yeah, you're up on the balcony. There's a big staircase going down in there. There looks like some kind of dining table. What do you call those things that like stick out from the balcony? There's like multiple juts in the, you know, like those little awnings that come out. What do you call those things?
What?
No, like those little things, you know, like where Lincoln got shot, you know, the little things that pop out from that balcony. So, are they just mini balconies?
You mean a balcony? Yes.
Is it a balcony within a balcony?
So
Or what would you call that?
So on the second floor, or if you're in England on the first floor, that would be the landing. You know, you climb the stairs and you arrive on the landing.
Okay.
The balconies that then hover over the room would be balconies.
Okay. I thought there was one bigger balcony and then the little small ones. So there's a corridor on each side. You can go
Yes.
left or right and it goes to the end.
Yes.
And as you go along those, there's like also little mini balconies.
I mean, I guess you could say vestibules, but vestibules usually aren't balconies.
Okay,
Like,
I think that is the word I was looking. You used something last night.
Okay, so
on
there
Friday?
was another type of thing. So for some reason, it was notable in the room, but it was not useful in the room. It was a pulpit.
Uh-huh.
It was the kind of thing you would see in a European church, a cathedral, a pulpit where the priest goes to stand and give the sermon. And they had one of those tucked in the corner of the room that you could not get to. You could stand next to it, but you couldn't stand in it. Mm-hmm. That was kind of interesting.
I mean, I don't know anything about architecture, so
I mean, that was just a weird inclusion. I don't really know. Maybe this place used to be a cathedral.
true. I mean, you know,
Or maybe in the game proper. Maybe when the game comes out, it will be used. Maybe our 8-foot tall Amazonian goddess will be up there and giving us her sermon as she goes, "I see you." Like, so. Anyway, you're in the foyer. You walk in there again. What basically introduces you to this room is you hear the cackle. That's when you hear them laugh. Mm-hmm. Is you look off one of the balconies, you know, where Lincoln got shot, and you then hear a laugh downstairs, and so you're like, oh god, they're here, and you feel like, oh god, I'm gonna get found.
this whole time you're just waiting for something to pop out in front of
Yeah.
you or behind you.
So you can explore upstairs on the landing a bit. There's a doorway that the first doorway you come across basically has a Virgin Mary style face that says it's missing an eye, and that's basically your clue to the puzzle, which is again a very Resident Evil style puzzle. All of the Resident Evil games had something that was missing an eye or needed five gems.
Yep.
You know, even the police station in Resident Evil 2 needed gems to unlock something. So yeah, that's the puzzle that you're like, this is what I have to do. I have to find the eye. So then you keep walking, you get to the other side of the landing, and there's another door. This one is locked. You cannot get inside, but you can see through the carved grill on the side of each of the door. Mm-hmm. You can see a sculpture inside. Again, a very Mother Mary sculpture where you have a female figure standing, and there's no one in the room by the looks of it. But this sculpture was featured in the video before the demo came out.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that actually.
Yeah, it's important, obviously, and I think it refers to like the grand matron character, not the tall vampire lady, but another important older character who is probably worshipped kind of like a religious figure in this village.
So what impressed me, or what I thought was interesting, was the fact that that door was locked, but you could still look through the cracks and see what was in there.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they did it on purpose, like you said. To like, you could, if you peeked just right, you could get a glimpse inside there. And of course, spoiler alert, you never go in there by the end of this demo.
Yeah, you don't.
So who knows?
You feel like you're gonna get inside, but you don't. And so yeah, then you'll end up going downstairs because you'll be searching everywhere trying to find this missing eye, which we did for a very long time. You go downstairs, and you have this feeling of like, oh god, this is where they're gonna find me. This is where they're gonna find me, but they don't. The front door is locked. You can't go through the front door. There is a side door leading to another room, locked as well. But then the last door in the room leads to the dining room. Mm-hmm. And the dining room is a very abrupt change again. You walk into it, and it's dark. There's no warm lighting as the rest of the house has been lit. There's just a gaping window that's open and blowing cold Transylvanian wind inside, because I'm just assuming this is Transylvania because of vampires.
It has to be 100%.
And yeah, it's billowing wind inside. The room is dark and dusty, a la rose red, and the table's set, but nobody's there. And all the paintings on the wall are the exact same paintings that have been reused multiple times throughout the house.
True. Yeah. Honest, that was kind of a flaw right there.
I'm being a little shit.
That happens a lot in games, actually.
That happens in every game pretty much.
Yeah.
And I'm being a little shit, but this was a showcase demo, and
there was like 10 total paintings. You're telling me they couldn't have done 10 different paintings? You know what I mean?
That's exactly what I'm saying. And they didn't. They used them very tastefully, but the notable ones to me were the ones above the fireplaces. There was one in the foyer on the ground floor, and there was one in the dining room. They both had the same painting of the same woman sitting on the same chair with the same. They couldn't.
They tried.
It was still good. It looked really good. Anyway, you go in the dining room, very dark, dingy, dusty, rose red, etc. There's nothing there, at least from what we saw. We walked in there and spent like a good 5 minutes wandering around the room like a chicken with their head cut off, bumping into the walls, looking for something.
Yeah, I was opening drawers, nothing. Rattling doors, nothing. Yep. Looking at everything on the walls, the ceiling.
Nothing. And so finally, Garrett gave up. He gave the controller to me, and then I bumped around for a bit. And then I finally went back into the dining room, and I saw the chalice on the table. Picked up the chalice, and sure enough, inside of it was the ring.
Yep.
You get the ring, you look at the ring, there is, sure enough, a ruby red eye on the ring. I think it was red.
It was red, yeah.
It was red regardless of the rubiness. And you pop it off and you put it in Mother Mary's eyes upstairs. And the door opens. The door opens, and after all this grueling effort in order to open this goddamned carved Mother Mary door for no frickin' reason, it opens into a wine tasting room.
Oh yeah, it sure does, doesn't it?
You open up the secret door that requires a gem to be inserted into an eye socket, and it opens up into a wine tasting room.
And that's where we're like, how much wine do these people have?
So
there's wine throughout the entire, like, stores and stores of wine.
There is a lot of wine in this house. So the castle is obviously on a vineyard. I mean, I think that's implied earlier on, or if not explicitly
I think you
stated.
find a note and it says something about like it's.
So obviously they like their wine and their metallic juice as well, but it's very classically fun Resident Evil when you go through all this effort to open a needlessly complicated door that is needlessly ornate on top of that, and it's just a wine tasting room on the other side. So in the wine tasting room, there's not really much in there.
You just find the key.
There's
right?
wine. There's a table to taste the wine. There's maybe some wedges of cheese to eat with the wine. And then you open some cabinets. You find some stuff. I think there's another note in there, but I honestly don't remember now. And then you find the key. You find the key that unlocks the door in the dining room that presumably leads into the courtyard. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, you're like, oh sweet, stoked. I get to go into the courtyard now. So you grab the key. You start hoofing it out there. And then as soon as you start going down the stairs, you hear, I see you. You know, emphasis on the I. You know, you think there's going to be a tibia beholder behind you. You've got the look, but there isn't. And as you go down the stairs, that's when your first encounter happens. Mm-hmm. You get your first encounter, and it's a bunch of flying, fluttering insects that just abruptly descend upon you and then take the shape of Sarah Jessica Parker. So she apparates in front of you from all these insects, and she's bleeding in the mouth. You assume that she just had a really bad episode of Sex and the City or something, or maybe, you know, God only knows, Girls Just Want to Have Fun got remade again. And she descends upon you and says, What does she say again? She says,
something about she looked hungry. I'm pretty
wait,
sure
she said no. She said, I can't wait, or like she was like she couldn't wait for dinner or something.
Oh yeah.
And then she said, this is how it feels, or this is how. She basically said this is like she said something like this is how it feels, like a bitter old housewife, slapping her husband or something, and she grabs you and bites you.
Yes.
She does like the classic vampire like bite.
Yeah, she gets very close.
Yeah.
At this point, I would say I was unimpressed with the. I mean, it's a good moment. It was a good moment, but as it was getting close, I was like, these graphics aren't that good on this character. I was a little unimpressed. Again, this is like a work in progress.
Well, and it's Sarah Jessica Parker too. Like, if you're not flat palming a carrot to her, you're gonna get bitten.
They had like 2 character models, and anyways, moving on. She bites you, and yeah, she disapparates into the.
After
locust swarm
she
again.
does her little like and bites you and sucks your blood, and she's like tasty, yummy, and then she evaporates again once again into a bunch of insects and leaves you basically alone. I mean, personally I was the one playing, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna hoof it out of here. I'm not gonna get bitten by goddamn hocus pocus again. So I went running and I ran to the courtyard door. I was fully prepared to go running out into the snow screaming and crying, and instead I was greeted by my fetish,
my queen.
I opened the door and my queen was there. My tall goddess was there, and my first thought was step on me, and like smother me with your milk jugs. Of course, I'm being goofy by saying this because if you are on Twitter at all of the posts are in reference to the tall, 8-foot tall Mae West vampire woman. And how sexy she is. I don't know about you guys. When I first saw her, I was like, wait, whoa, she's right there, huh? And then she grabs you.
Yeah, it was a very quick scene. And yeah,
it was quick.
Everyone's simping over the 8-foot queen.
This was a very quick. There is no, unless maybe I just didn't run. There is no more interaction with her because she confronts you at the door as soon as you open the door, and she says, "Finally, we meet." And she picks you up like a juicy watermelon off the vine. And then she cuts you up a la Wolverine style.
Yeah, she like sticks out her hand and all of a sudden whooshing, and like long like Wolverine times 3.
I mean, this is Wolverine meets Lust from Full Metal Alchemist. Like it's just imagine Mae West, like, why don't you come up and see me sometime? And she picks you up and comes up and sees you sometime up her 10-story long Empire State Building height, and then she goes all lust on you and stabs you with her fingers.
And that is the end of the demo.
And that right there, the demo ends right there.
Honestly, I think the whole demo, if we would have not, or if I wouldn't have not, if I would have found,
Stop, folks.
If I would have found the thing sooner, I literally can't talk.
The demo would have been
like
roughly
30 minutes max.
Maybe even 15 or 20.
15, 20 minutes. I was taking a lot of time looking at everything.
We were just appreciating the demo itself, and then we started being lost. So the demo is I would say about 15 to 20 minutes for someone who is going to appreciate the details and try to take it in. Mm-hmm. Maybe even less for someone who's just breezing through it.
I'm surprised that they just let it out on PS5. I'm not sure if Capcom or Resident Evil has some kind of tie with PlayStation.
Yeah.
Because they released the game on other platforms. I think it's just one of those, it's always been on PlayStation, so they probably get a little... And plus it is, PS5 has the hardware. They probably just want to... I'm sure PlayStation made some kind of deal where it's like, hey, let us have the demo first.
And also, it's not an Xbox. I mean, who wants to be on an Xbox?
Yeah, ew.
So...
Oh, yeah. Speaking of that.
Speaking of that...
yeah, let's just transition right there.
We're gonna... So, yeah, I think that pretty much well covers the showcase demo. It was very good. It basically boils down to being extremely short.
Yeah.
I'm nothing bad against it, but I was expecting a little more out of it. I know it was only a showcase. I get that. But it was really short.
Overall, are you excited to play the new game?
Overall, I'm still stoked. I'm really stoked. I'm a little disappointed by how not scary the vampire ladies are.
They didn't make them scary. People are simping over her because she's attractive. Her voice isn't scary. It's like normal.
Her voice sounds like a Pornhub type voice. I mean, I don't know. I'm okay. I'm okay with it, but I'm just a little... I mean, Resident Evil is more atmospheric than horrifying at times. Mm-hmm. And knowing Resident Evil, she's not going to remain in her sexy Mae West form. She's probably going to like split at the
Contort.
seams and have like tentacles coming from her butt and crab legs coming from her head.
I think a big part of it too is that before we played, we already knew who the bad guy was because everyone was posting.
It was impossible.
If this would have been a surprise, I would have been like, "Oh shit!" It was an 8-foot tall lady.
It was
picking me
impossible
up.
not to get spoiled on that. Like there was no way.
Yeah. So what got me excited is I have Resident Evil 7 because it came free with PS5's collection thing. I want to go play Resident Evil 7 now. It's one of the few that I haven't played. And
We should play through that. I didn't know you had it.
Yeah, it
Dude,
comes
we should
free.
play through that. I haven't finished it yet either.
Okay, yeah, we can do that. That'd be
Yeah,
fun.
totally, dude.
And then we can compare it to the 8th one and see what they did.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we're excited about that. Next topic, Xbox. Yes.
So yeah, so on the topic of Microsoft and Xbox. So if you've been keeping your finger on the bloodline of gaming news, there was an interesting announcement.
And if you blinked, you might have missed it.
And if
because
you
it
blinked, you
happened
might-
so quick.
It literally happened, and then the day after, it unhappened.
No, it was the same day.
Was it the same day?
It happened in the morning, and like before end of day, they announced the fix.
Oh my! Yeah.
It was like less than 24 hours.
This is some prime. This is some prime. Oops, we didn't actually mean to do that, but we're gonna make it seem like we meant to in a good way.
Oopsies.
We're gonna use this to
Joking.
bring light to how much we care about our gamers. Anyway,
I almost thought that was the case, where it's like,
Yeah.
you know what? We're actually the good guys. Like, what if it was like this anti-PR?
so basically, it falls into the realm of Microsoft needs anything and they will do anything.
Okay, let's start from the beginning. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
So Xbox Live.
Yeah, so Xbox Live Gold. Nowadays, it used to be a lot simpler. Back when you had an Xbox or PlayStation, there was just you buy the membership, which lets you play online games, and that was Xbox Gold and PlayStation Plus. Since then, Xbox has all kind of subscriptions because they have Game Pass, right?
Yep.
And so you can do like Xbox Gold and just play games online, or you can get Xbox Game Pass, which lets you like a Netflix for games. And there's like Game Pass Ultimate, which has Game Pass plus Xbox Gold, which is technically the best deal. I think
Yeah.
it's like $15 a month. You get everything. You're saving money.
There's lots of subscriptions, is what we're getting at.
Yeah, there's lots of subscriptions, and like for the longest time, it's always been $9.99 a month. But if you buy like the bigger packages,
the 6 month or the now no longer existing year.
yeah, it was $60 for a whole year, which was always the best deal. Everyone always does it. You just get the year thing, you let it renew. It's the best deal.
And so
PlayStation does
what
it.
they did was they decided to basically double that.
They literally doubled it.
So suddenly it now cost $120 for a year, but you couldn't get a year subscription. You could do a 6 month subscription for $60.
Yeah.
And that happened one day. Everyone woke up and suddenly, hey, if you have an existing subscription, you can keep it. But if you don't, then guess what? You're going to be paying $120 a year
Yeah.
on a console that has no games.
Incredible. Like it
But if you have a PC, you can still play them for free,
yeah, because PC, it's always been free. It's always been online.
which is hilarious. Like, that is so delightfully hilarious. And really, guys, did you not think of this at all?
And it was dropped on a Friday. So a Friday morning, a lot of, the press is saying they purposely did this because most people, accept worse news on a Friday because it's like, oh, well, it's the weekend. I'm going to forget about this. No one's paying attention. It's
And the
Friday.
funny note about it that is they were expecting it to be seen as bad news, and so they were like, let's release it on the day when people are feeling at their best.
During a pandemic.
So let's be complete and utter shits and release it on Friday during the pandemic and try to increase the price of the only thing people have to enjoy in their lives at the moment. They can't see their families. They can't go out to a restaurant. Who sees the movies anymore? Let's increase the price of video games.
And we have all of our first-party games for them to enjoy next gen too. Oh wait, we don't have anything.
Don't. We have... yeah.
Sorry for shitting on Xbox.
So-
But like literally, their advertise. They're like
was very funny.
The mascots that they're using for their next gen console are like third-party games, like
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed and Yakuza and stuff like that.
Yep.
Like Master Chief on the side because who knows when that's ever going to come out.
God only knows.
It was supposed to come out at launch and it's been delayed until a while.
Just don't hold your breath.
So so basically, I think the idea behind this was since Xbox Live Gold and Game Pass have been separate subscriptions, I think their goal was, well, hey, this is going to be so expensive. Everyone's going to just go buy Xbox Game Pass Ultimate for $15 a month because it's going to be about the same price and they get everything now. And people were just pissed. Like, the internet did its job.
PR was heavy and mad.
Yeah. And even Xbox fanboys, like I follow some Xbox fanboys and they were like, Microsoft, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, are you stupid?
So one of the reasons for this backlash is not just because of the impudence behind it, but also because it's been the same price for a very, 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 very long time.
Yeah.
Like I think maybe 10 years, maybe even more than that.
I was gonna say when Xbox Live first came out, I think it was like
That was
50,
2002, 2003.
something like that. It was like $50. They increased it to 60 at some point for a year.
And it just kept that way. And so, the reasonable-minded person will say, well, hey, times they are changing. Why can't the price change? And it should.
Yep.
But people just kind of grew accustomed to it for a good reason because they never changed it. And then two, really? Right now?
Yeah, and on top of that, you're already trying to compete with PlayStation for exclusives.
Stomping the hell out of you.
Yeah, who's honestly, until Xbox delivers some of these games from all their awesome studios they bought, right now they're just sitting on Sea of Thieves still, which is it's a good game, but no one's playing it.
It's now a good game. Again, a la No Man's Sky, it is now a good game.
I just couldn't believe that they did that, and they are lucky that they changed it. Okay, so basically, by the end of the day, Microsoft put out like we're sorry, oopsies.
We're sorry.
We're listening.
Yeah.
My bad.
So we heard the voice of the gamers, and we decided they were right. Basically,
right.
They stepped up on their Rock of Gibraltar, and they were like, we're doing the right thing, everybody. All the while to the beat of the patting of their own back. Like, I mean, this was pretty delicious stuff because, I mean, come on, Microsoft. And yeah, and guess what? It's pretty much worked.
Yeah, it worked. The internet did its job.
The fanboys like jumped right back onto that horse, I'll say to be nice. They jumped right back onto that and they were like, yes, Microsoft is awesome. And then everyone else is like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, because what they did on top, which is good, which I agree with
this is all good stuff, yes.
Yeah, which is cool. They kept the price the same, so everything's normal. On top of that, for free-to-play games that have online components to it, they are making that free of charge. So you don't need Xbox Gold online membership to be able to play these free-to-play online games.
And how does Sony handle that? How does PlayStation handle that?
PlayStation, I think you still have to pay.
Okay, yeah.
So
that's pretty spicy.
So at the end of the day, they ended up coming out ahead because think of some of the biggest games right now. You've got like Apex Legends.
Yeah.
You've got Genshin Impact is probably included on that because it's technically online and it's free to play. But yeah, let's just say Apex, right? Huge game that's free to play. I'm assuming that you can play that on Xbox now without a subscription.
So on that note, that's a bit of tang on the stick. Yeah, that's good. I mean, that's some good stuff because Microsoft is showing up Sony by doing that.
Because I was gonna say, like, if they didn't fix that today, Sony would have put out like something like, "Hey, we're still cheap,"
which is why Garrett and I are inclined to say that this was an anti-PR thing. This was kind of orchestrated.
It almost feels like it, yeah.
Very effectively. For this exact result, and it worked.
That can't be the case because at the end of the day, it hurt them.
I mean,
everyone's
ultimately,
like, come on,
it's dangerous.
Microsoft.
It's a most dangerous game,
and the most dangerous,
and
game.
They are basically the ones being hunted. So, yeah, it probably wasn't, but it's still fun to think that like, hey, this worked out really well, jolly good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, congratulations to Xbox players. You now get free online services for your free-to-play games. And you get to keep your normal prices as they were.
And congratulations to PC players. Nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed. You still get free online like it should be, in my opinion.
Nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed.
If you can hear a patting, that's my own back being patted because I am a PC player.
Speaking of PC games and the king of PC games, and one of the kings, I would say.
One of the kings. There's a lot of kings.
So, Blizzard / Activision Blizzard Activision. I don't know how it goes there.
Who holds the crown?
They just acquired a very talented studio.
A very talented and very now prolific studio in the last few years. Yeah.
Yeah, which is very good because they have a project they've been working on, which is a remaster.
Oh yeah. Oh
and
yeah.
Vicarious Visions, that's what they do.
Oh yeah.
They make
Remaster me, daddy.
remasters.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So Vicarious Visions has recently made the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2
Very well.
very well, yes.
Very effectively and very well.
And also the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy.
Very effectively and very well. Yes.
Yeah, I think they've done more, obviously, but those are the two biggest ones that brought them on the map recently.
Recently, and Blizzard obviously caught sight of that, and they said, "Hey, guess what we got?
We got a big project for you.
Diablo 2."
Oh, man. Speaking my language.
Many people's favorite Diablo. I honestly, I have a hard time deciding between Diablo 1 or 2, but Diablo 2 is definitely up there. I mean, the Herodric Cube. I love Diablo 2. I am stoked about these news.
This is some of the best news I've heard because, and Blizzard needs it, honestly, because after their whole debacle with the Diablo thing.
Yeah, and then there's stuff with Hearthstone, too. There's been a lot of debacling going on.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, there's been debacling all over the place.
Blizzard is one of those companies that I love their games, but the stuff they do just feels so, for such a big company, it just feels lazy. It feels, sorry, I'm not going to say that.
I think a lot of the problem, and I'm not going to say much more than what I'm about to say, is there's a lot of China involved.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a big part of their current issues, is there's a lot of China going on. But we don't need to say much more than that, because...
There's another company that's owned by...
Riot?
Oh, yeah, right?
Yeah.
Riot got bought by a Chinese company as well.
Riot, for sure, yes.
And this is kind of off topic too, but RuneScape was also bought by... Yeah, Jagex was...
No!
This may have changed. But
I hope so.
But Jagex was purchased by like a parent Chinese company.
I want Jagex to be the weird little like UK company.
They still are.
No.
But so the reason we're saying this is because when China gets involved with companies like that, it starts becoming all about money. And by money, I mean like microtransactions and just because I think they're really big on like mobile stuff and bringing money in. And so, yeah, when a company gets bought by a bigger Chinese gaming company or whatever, it's usually bad news because it means less about the players, more about the money.
For sure.
And it's very, very sad news.
It really is.
I don't know Blizzard's position with that.
That's been part of the problem. My data might be a little outdated at this point, but that was part of the issue, is that Blizzard's position was not helpful.
Yeah.
They were kind of just like, yeah, we'll do whatever China says.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Money.
It's very disappointing to see. But so Diablo, I'm back on that. They a couple, I want to say a year or two ago, they announced that we got a new Diablo game coming for you. And then they're like, and it's a mobile game.
And the crowd did everything but burn the guy on stage at the stake. Like, I'm sure all of you are well aware of this and do not need to have it repeated, because honestly, that was a moment in history. That was a big tick on the timeline of gaming.
Everyone has been waiting desperately for Diablo 4, and they were like, and we got a mobile game.
Don't you... I can't even say it. So, yes. So now I think Blizzard is trying to make amends, and very well, because for me, my language is Diablo 2, and I'll say it again. I'm stoked. I'm really stoked for Diablo 2.
And so for the record, there's a mobile game coming, Diablo Immortal, I think is what it's called, Immortals. Diablo 4 is in progress.
Better be.
And they released something, and it looked really cool, like 6 months ago. And on top of that, they mentioned that they are making a remaster of their most beloved game, Diablo 2.
Yes.
And we don't really know much more about it, except now we know that they brought in a very talented studio, Vicarious Visions, to work on a remaster. And honestly, there were some of the best to do it, apart from Blue Point Games.
Blue Point Games, who did the Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah, they did the Shadow of the Colossus remake.
And they did the what was it? Oh, Dark Souls.
Yeah, the Demon Souls.
Demon Souls, of course.
Yeah,
dude.
the new Demon Souls.
That was kind of their crown jewel right now. Yeah,
very good.
Which we haven't heard any press on recently,
good.
But I guess no bad press is good press, so very good.
Indeed. So from what I understand is Blizzard owns them now. Like, this isn't a contract deal. They straight up merged with Blizzard Activision.
So yeah, Blizzard basically sucked them in, and whether that's good or bad, I don't know. But I'm okay. I'm okay with it. And I'm okay. I'm very okay with like I said, I'm very okay with them being on the helm of the Diablo 2 remake.
I am very happy about that, but I'm also sad because I don't know what they're going to be remaking from now on.
How it's going to affect, yeah.
Because we're not going to be getting any more Crash Bandicoots, and we're not going to be getting any more Tony Hawks.
Well,
Tony Hawk isn't that part of Activision?
So so Blizzard is owned by Activision. We kind of have like a lot of umbrellas going on here.
Yeah.
Blizzard's owned by Activision. Activision owns Toys for Bob, which is the umbrella that has been using a lot of the company, and so I think they're all safe. I think we can safely say that they're still going to be able to remake or whatever a lot of titles they want to.
Yeah, we'll see. And I mean, like,
I hope so.
Blizzard's got a bunch of stuff. Activision has a bunch of stuff. I'm sure they'll be used as needed.
We'll probably see some StarCraft. We're probably going to see some StarCraft going
Honestly,
on. If not some classic Warcraft.
That would be what they need to do. They need to remaster a classic Warcraft game.
But StarCraft, I think, is the one that has the strongest following still.
And it has more esports potential.
Exactly. Warcraft, I think they could pull it back, honestly.
I'm sure they could.
So, here's hoping.
Yeah, here's hoping. Bittersweet news to some.
Diablo 2 is going to be awesome, though.
Diablo 2.
This company is fully able to do this, and I fully trust them to take my childhood and make it something I can play as an adult again.
Just something to hold us over till Diablo 4.
Yes, I want to hear Deckard Cain's heraldry.
We need him.
I want that in my life again.
So I think that's all the big news for this week.
Actually, no. There is some Cyberpunk news.
Duh. Yeah.
We always have a little Cyberpunk thing at the end, usually with me crapping on it. But in this case, I'll just go right onto some actual news from the company itself, CD Projekt Red. They have released their first big patch, I think they call it. Like, it's like their first big bug fixer.
Yeah, it's 1.1.
It's patch 1.1, and it is a stability patch. It fixes bugs. It tries to stabilize the game, which is horribly unstable on most people's experiences. Unfortunately, as news have since followed since the release of the patch, I have not played since the release of the patch, so I cannot say these news myself, but this patch now includes more game-breaking bugs.
Of course it does.
So, from what I've learned is that the game-breaking bugs seem to be introduced with a certain main quest character, and this character... So, in Cyberpunk, you get a lot of phone calls. You get a lot of... This is like GTA 4 level, like, oh, Nico, let's go bowling! Like, a lot of phone calls. And sometimes you're in the middle of a mission, you're driving somewhere, and then out of nowhere, just... another phone call, and then another one, and then another one.
I was gonna say, in the 20 minutes of gameplay I played, I was getting a lot of phone calls.
And it's not a bad thing, but in my opinion, that's one of the things about the game where I'm just like, can you guys just not call me every single time I drive into a new area, please?
They have nothing else to do, Ben. They're bored.
So this patch affects one of the main characters who calls you on the phone. During a certain point in the game, he will call you on the phone to progress the story. And instead, he calls you on the phone, his little video thing pops up, and he just stares at you and says nothing. which is a bug that I have encountered before. Not with him, it was with a different character, a main questline character. But yeah, he'll call you up and you'll say, "Hey, how's it going?" He just says nothing, and his face stares at you, dead-eyed. Like basically like a fish in a freezer. He just stares at you.
Does it ever go away?
And as far as I know, I think maybe you have the option to hang up, but I don't think it goes away, and players have been having to reload saves.
Oh no.
Which then they get the call again, and he resumes not saying anything.
He just stares at you.
He just stares at you. He just holds the phone to his ear until the battery eventually dies, until his shoulder dislocates. I don't know. And you're basically left hanging. And guess what? If you don't have any... You can't fix it.
You can't progress, right? If it's main storyline, then you can't...
Apparently, it's breaking people's games. So
oh my god,
that's just another feather in CD Projekt Red's very horrible hat.
Poor CD Projekt Red. So sad.
So there are of course ways to get around it. People have been figuring out ways to get around it, but Jesus Almighty, do you really have to figure out ways to get around more bugs in this game?
So I'm assuming that overall it's probably stabilized and fixed a bunch of things, but it brought more bugs in.
Yeah.
Like, it is just
This
again.
is a big deal bug. I mean, there's other ones, of course, too, but that was like the main one. So, I'm glad CD Projekt Red's moving along on their thing, but it's really too bad that they had another hitch.
Well, the good news is on the timeline they're supposed to launch 1.2 in a couple weeks from now.
They're probably going to release like a 1.1 point something else.
Yeah, they're going to have to do another one, and this might even elongate the patch timeline once again. I mean, I guarantee this by the middle of this year, that timeline is going to be non-existent, and it's probably going to be totally different. Who knows at this point? I'm just still bummed. I keep seeing pictures of this game. It looks so beautiful.
It is quite beautiful.
And I really want to play it.
It is quite beautiful, but there's still stuff going on. The game-breaking bugs aside and other things, the AI is still the game's biggest problem.
Oh my gosh.
Because I'm still playing it. I'm still playing the game. I'll give another little story. There was a point in the game when you're out of the city, basically. You're outside. You're at a motel. There's a bar in the motel for some reason, and you have to talk to one of the characters who's sitting in the bar. There's other patrons in the bar, and as soon as you enter this bar, like basically, Jesus himself cleanses you of all sins. So when I pulled up to the motel, I ran people over. I had like 3 or 4 stars, and then I ran up to the little bar, and I was like, I'm just gonna go talk to him really quick. And as soon as I ran to the bar, all my stars disappeared. I was like, whoa, this is like better than this is better than confession.
I was gonna say it's like confession.
This is better than confession. Father, I have sinned. Like, this is better than confession. So I decided to mess around more, and there's a bunch of people sitting in the place, and you can't fire your gun inside, but you can fire your gun outside. So I went outside, and I shot people, and I threw grenades inside, and everyone in the bar, like, so I blew up half the bar, and all the patrons in their seats just died, like, a la Oblivion style, where they kind of rose from their seats a little bit, like their asses like floated above, and they kind of slid in their seats a little bit. And then everyone else in the bar who survived just remained seated, like, but their faces contorted in terror because the game would not allow them to leave. So they were just remained seated in their seats with like bodies adjacent to them, but they were unable to leave.
And the murderer wasn't being punished for his crime.
The murderer then walks inside to where they are, and he is absolved of all the sin of killing their friends. So I took a screenshot of myself talking to the character inside the bar with the bodies in the background and a guy still alive.
Please post that to our social media.
It is the AI in this game just never fails to amazingly disappoint me. And it was hilarious. I enjoyed seeing the bodies just like strung over the chairs, and the others just sitting there, their faces like contorted with terror, but unable to do anything about it because their AI is just too damn stupid.
Oh my god, I wish I could have as good a story as that. On my end, I think I finally finished Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Oh, good.
I think I can finally say I moved on.
You finished the story though, so what did you finish?
So last week I finished the main storyline.
Okay.
But I didn't finish taking the territories in England. And so I finally took over the last territory in England, and I got the achievement of congratulations, you've conquered England. You know what I mean? Like,
you've conquered England. Bully for you.
But like,
you get gout.
The way it ended, it didn't seem like it ended because the bad guy kind of like, well, spoiler, but like, you don't finish the job. You know what I mean?
Oh, he was kind of like, ha, ta-ta for now.
Well, it was more like,
I'll get you, Batman, and he runs off.
He's not actually here, but I'm here. You can't get him, and I'm going to die for him. And so...
Oh, wait, there was like a plant? It was like a fake one?
Yeah, it was like a decoy situation.
Oh.
So, again,
DLC.
It's either going to be a DLC thing, or there is so much left in this game that I have unfinished.
Maybe he's at Winnie the Pooh's house.
He might be at Winnie the Pooh's house.
He might be hiding out there.
He might be.
He's probably eating that pot of honey you left.
I'm going to leave a honeycomb for him to see if he comes sniffling up to it. This game has been so much fun. I'm really, really sad to leave it. I put 72 hours into this.
Damn.
I didn't even get half of the trophies or achievements for this game.
Yeah, I noticed that. How the hell?
It is like either complete or nothing in this game. So
maybe you have to kill more squirrels.
Maybe. I've been having such a fun time. I don't want to leave, but I also have a backlog to get through.
Yeah,
and you bought me Spider-Man, and I need to go play that.
So is that next?
It is next. Yep.
So Miles Morales or
the remaster first.
Remaster.
So I'm going to do the Spider-Man original 2018 remastered, and then I'm gonna go straight into Miles Morales.
Okay.
And
Okay.
it's gonna be hard for me not to be a completionist in this game because swinging around the city is just so much fun.
And running up the side of buildings inexplicably.
You could literally run up the side of buildings endlessly. Like Spider-Man has stamina of the gods, so it is.
Let's not forget the way he shimmies down the building too.
I brought the PlayStation over and Ben was having a little fun with it, and we found a silly bit. I might actually post it on social media because it was just so silly the way he was like tiptoeing down the little steps.
Some pussyfooting to put him
Yeah,
mildly.
that's exactly the word. I'm excited. It's such a fun game, and it's going to be such a like 180 from playing Valhalla. I'm going from like, berserking Vikings to
You're
just
going
like
from a
teenage boy swinging around the city.
like from having to serve Sigurd,
Sigurd, yes,
to having to serve Dr. Octavius.
Dr.
Not Dr. Octopus. Oh, like
Dr. Octavius. You got the Oscorp there. Oscorp is big in that game. I'm excited. Again, I only got halfway through the original game, and now I have that remastered plus all Miles Morales, which has just been getting glowing reviews.
That's the one I'm especially stoked for. Not only for that like sweet like Adidas product placement, but also just because it looks awesome.
It looks awesome. I'm so excited, and then I have the rest of my backlog to go through. So it's a long journey. We're both gonna hit Hollow Knight up pretty soon.
Dude, I'm really want to play that game.
I think Hollow Knight might be our next spoiler cast. It's an older game, so it's not going to be as like fresh and hot as Hades. But the reason we want to play it is because the sequel, Silk Song, is going to be released someday. It's either going to be like 2021 or 2022.
Hollow Knight to Silk Song. Silk Song just makes me think of some kind of...
I mean, unless my brain is betraying me, but I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. It'll make more sense once you play the game.
Okay, I guess so.
Yeah, you'll see.
Does he become like a silkworm?
No.
Oh.
There are silkworms in that game, though.
Ooh.
There's all kind of little... like,
Is that the sound they make?
Something like that.
I'm a silkworm.
Trust me, you'll figure it out. You'll walk into a dark room and you'll hear that, and you're like, "Where is that coming from?"
Silkworm, you better run.
No, they're good guys.
I'm gonna tie you to a radiator and silkworm you.
Yeah.
So Hollow Knight on the horizon. God. Anyways, so much to do, so much game, such little time.
Yeah.
I'm going to quit my job and just play games full time.
Dude, tell me about it. Ooh.
I'm done. I'm done doing normal stuff.
If I don't get killed by the oncoming monsoon, then yeah, probably the same thing.
Wish us luck. We got a lot of rain coming here in California. So I think that about does it for this show, huh?
Let's go ahead and wrap it up now.
Yeah, we'll do our plugs. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at podoutofmana. You can email us at podoutofmana at
gmail.com. And of course, we're on YouTube.
We're on YouTube, which, thank you guys. The last video we released, we got a lot of views.
Yeah.
And we're very, very happy. We love seeing that more people are listening and finding our podcast.
And we even got a comment, and that was really cool. That's really cool. We always like seeing that.
Yeah, let us know. Just leave a comment on YouTube, on Twitter or Instagram. We just love seeing that you guys are enjoying it.
And to hear what you would think and what we could do better, honestly, because this is an ever-evolving silkworm of a podcast that we really want to keep going.
Yeah, and we want to do more than just the podcasting, We want to bring video into it. We do have a Twitch channel, Out of Mana Plays, on Twitch, which is it's a little dry right now because we're still getting our setups figured out and figuring what kind of game we want to play. Hollow Knight might actually be a good one to stream.
I'm also just waiting for Subnautica to release. That's probably gonna be the first one.
Ben's got that Subnautica, which Sub-Zero, right?
Sub-Zero, yes.
Sub-Zero. That'll be a really fun one to watch.
I hope so. Otherwise, I hope so.
But he's ready and set up to stream. So
got my angel cam.
He got the angel cam.
Yeah.
The lighting's gonna light up his beautiful face, and
God.
you all get to enjoy it.
Oh, run.
All right, let's get out of here, Ben. Thank you again for listening to Out of Mana. We hope to see you next week.